Hello everybody! So in the spirit of cherry blossom season, I'm going to be making this cherry blossom face moisturizer. If you see my last video, it was basically an introduction on how to make a face moisturizer. So if you're a beginner, go watch that video, I'll have it linked down below. But anyways, this is the formulation I have for my cherry blossom face moisturizer. If you don't know how to transfer a formulation that is typed out in percents, then go watch my video I have it linked down below so you guys can learn how to transfer a formulation to a weighed out recipe. So I'm going to be making a total of 70 grams of this face moisturizer. That equals roughly 2 ounces. So let's get started. So first off, you need a digital scale that weighs to 0.01 grams and some kind of heat safe container. I'm using this 250 milliliter glass beaker to weigh my water phase in. First off, I'm adding in 33.6 grams of distilled water. Then I'm adding in 14 grams of rose water. Next up is vegetable glycerin, and I added in 2.8 grams of the vegetable glycerin. This will help add moisture to your skin. Then I'm adding in 2.8 grams of propanedial. This will also help add moisturization to your skin. Now I'm adding hydrolyzed rice protein, and this will help moisturize the skin, make the skin more elastic, and it can even help soothe irritation. And I added in 1.4 grams of the rice protein. Now I'm adding in 0.35 grams of allantoin. This will help soothe irritation. Then I'm adding in 1.4 grams of panthenol, and this is also known as provitamin B5, and this helps hydrate the skin. And now you just want to blend everything together and try to dissolve the powder a little bit. It won't dissolve completely until we heat it up, but you definitely want to mix it in a little bit. Now it's time to zero out your scale and take note of how much your beaker and your water weighs. This weighs 163.36, so write that down because when we heat this water phase up, some of the water is going to evaporate and we need to add in some heated distilled water to replace any water that evaporated. So now we need to weigh out our oil phase. Again, I'm using this 250 milliliter glass beaker to weigh everything out in. I started with 2.8 grams of cetyl alcohol, 3.5 grams of emulsifying wax NF, and now it's time for our carrier oil. I'm using camellia seed oil. This is a commonly used oil in Japan and it's full of antioxidants. It's non-greasy and it helps promote cell growth. And I added in 3.5 grams of the camellia seed oil. And now that both of your phases are weighed out, it is time to create a double boiler. You can do this by taking a pan and filling it with about 1 inch of water and then placing both of your beakers into the pan. And I always recommend to cover your beakers with aluminum foil just to make sure nothing falls in, and it slightly helps lessen evaporation. So you want to heat these up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit and hold it there for 20 minutes. And you can keep track of the temperature with this temperature gun, and I'll link down below where you can purchase this along with everything else I used in this video. Now that everything has been heated, you must replace any water loss that occurred in the water phase. So place a little barrier in between your beaker and your scale because the heat from the beaker can kind of scrape your scale, and add in any water that, evaporated. Anyways, the next thing I did is I took a little bit of pink mica and I added it to my water phase and mixed it in a little bit right before I poured my water phase into my oil phase. So after you pour the water into the oil phase, you need to immediately blend it with a immersion blender. And after I blended it, I noticed it wasn't pink enough, so I added a little bit more mica. And eventually I got it to the color that I like. I really just wanted it to be a very light pink color to where you can barely tell it's pink. So you want to keep blending your lotion about every 5 minutes as it cools down, and you'll notice it thickens as it cools down. And finally, once it returns to room temperature, it is time to add our cool down ingredients. So take out your scale, place your beaker on your scale, and it's time to add our cherry blossom extract. Obviously, this is our key ingredient because without it, then it's not a cherry blossom face moisturizer. But the benefits of this cherry blossom extract is that it's full of antioxidants, it's also an anti-inflammatory, it can help reduce inflammation and oxidation damage that leads to aging. And I decided to use quite a bit of this extract. I added in 3.5 grams of the cherry blossom extract. So go ahead and mix your cherry blossom extract in and follow with your preservative. I'm going to be using Liquid Dermal Plus, which is a broad spectrum water soluble preservative. You can use any other broad spectrum water soluble preservative you would like. Just make sure you use it at the correct amount. And I added in 0.35 grams of the Liquid Dermal Plus and mixed it in very nicely to make sure everything was well combined. So now that everything is finished, it is time to package up our moisturizer. I'm using this 2-ounce glass jar. I'll link down below to where I purchased it, and I'll also try to find some similar ones over on Amazon. So here's how the moisturizer looks all packaged up, and now it's time for my favorite part, labeling my product. So I created this cute little cherry blossom face moisturizer label to obviously label my product. If you don't know how to make custom labels, I'll link down below to a video that shows you guys how to do that and how to waterproof them. So here's how the moisturizer looks. It's definitely a thicker consistency than the last one I made, and I really love this moisturizer. It glides on the skin so easily, and I just love that it's cherry blossom and that it's pink. So now that we reached the end of this video, it is time for my Patreon shoutouts. First up, we got Herbalist Tracy, who owns Essence of Nature over on Etsy. I've reviewed her products before, I'll link that video down below. Next up is Stardust Bath & Body. Their website's not live yet, but in the meantime, you can go follow them over on Instagram and keep up with them over there. Then we have Nature's Farm Girl. You can go to naturesfarmgirl.com and check out what she sells. Then we have Kennedy's Essentials, who sells natural hair care products. I've reviewed her products before. Go watch my review and check out her shop. Then we have another brand whose review is linked in the description box, Let's Blend. Go check them out and see what they sell. Next is actually a spa called Young Forever Aesthetics. They specialize in plant-based facials. Go follow them over on Instagram at Young Forever Aesthetics. Next up is Reese Porter, who owns Creative with Love. Go check out her website. And last but not least is Wonderful Body Co. Go check them out over on Etsy. Also, if you guys didn't know, I do sell products myself over on Etsy. I'll have it linked down in the description box and up in the corner, so it's easy for you guys to find. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this Cherry Blossom Face Moisturizer recipe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!
I'm stuck in the motions. I've been consumed by the wrath of time, like I'm shattered in this life. It's still the path that I've chosen, because I've had a vision. Now I'm on a mission to find myself with you.